and this might make you feel a little bit old today because it's the end of an entertainment era. Sainsbury's have announced they're going to stop selling CDs and DVDs.
It honestly doesn't feel like they've been around for ages.
That's what
they
I
obviously
say.
have. The supermarket says customers are buying music and films online and it wants to use the shelf space for other stuff. Will Bachelor has more.
Remember buying your first one of these? Or pressing play for the first time on one of these? The little discs were a mainstay in many homes, but in recent years we've started ditching our CDs and DVDs in favour of streaming services. ABBA led the CD trend when their 1981 album The Visitors was the first to be commercially released on the new format. 7 years later, and CDs finally overtook vinyl for the first time with this. The Dire Straits album Brothers in Arms. And by the 90s, CD sales steamed ahead of cassette tape from Oasis to the Spice Girls. This was how most of us were listening to our favourite music. Then came the shift in home video. In 1998, DVD players came on the market, but they set you back £500, and some experts had their doubts.
If you're not a video movie buff who's crazy about hi-fi surround sound, then what you're effectively doing is you're paying £500 for a player to play movies that are already available on VHS tape, and for your £500 you're getting what amounts to a recorder that can't record.
By the turn of the millennium, sales boomed, and Gladiator was the most bought DVD of that year. Other big hitters were The Matrix and The Sixth Sense. But trends began changing again. Last year was the biggest ever for new UK subscribers to streaming services, with more than 32 million people now signed up. Now CDs and DVDs will be vanishing from the shelves in Sainsbury's, but even as we turn to streaming, there's been another shift in our buying habits, the vinyl revival. So, is it really goodbye for our CDs and DVDs? Best not throw out our collections just yet. Will Batchelor, BBC News.
So I have a shelf, like shelves, full of CDs and DVDs. I'm not getting rid of them.
Do you still have the player though?
Yes.
You do? Because I know loads of people have got loads of CDs and DVDs but haven't got anything to play them on.
I have a CD player in my car as well.
Yeah.
So I know lots of people stream and everything now in cars, but I like putting the CD in the car to listen to.
You're old school. You're old school. Who'd have
Glad you
thought
added
it?
school. We're joined in the studio by Andy Willis, who's Professor of Film Studies at Salford University. We've also got music expert Rob Fidderman joining us from Newcastle upon Lyme. Good morning to you both. It's funny, Andy, I was talking to you about, do you remember your first DVD? Do you remember your first CD? I don't. I remember my first vinyl, but I don't remember that. But you then said you used to buy them before you had a player.
Yeah, I think people forget because nowadays you can pick up a DVD player for 30 quid, but then they were hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
And I remember buying DVDs knowing I would at some point get a player, but then having a little collection of about 10 and then finally getting to the point of thinking, well, I better buy one now, but having to save up to buy one because it was quite a lot of money in those days.
Yeah, they were like
the
20
discs
pounds.
themselves were like a kind of status symbol.
Yeah, yeah. And it was all because the quality was meant to be so much better than VHS. I think that's what drove me. I was like, and I was buying, and this is one of the fascinating things. I think it's a way in which a lot of the big companies are able to use their old library. So I was buying films on DVD that I already had on VHS with the myth that the quality would be so much better.
Was it a myth?
No, the quality was a lot better.
Rob, what do you make of this? I mean, Sainsbury's not going to sell CDs or DVDs anymore. I was quite surprised to hear that. Are you surprised?
A little, but it's not the be-all and end of everything, is it? I mean, not everybody goes to Sainsbury's to buy, CDs or per se DVDs. But I don't think it's the end of the CD by any means.
Why not? Because the figures that I've seen about streaming suggest that this is only going in one direction, so to speak.
So, certain people collect certain mediums. So if you're a big fan of Amy Winehouse and she's brought out, there's a limited edition vinyl and a CD box set. then people still want the CD, and you know, some people can still play CDs in their car. You know, think you can hold like the vinyls, you know, like CDs. You've got the outlay card, the lovely iconic artwork. Don't forget when people come round to your house, you're having a party, you can have a shelf of hundreds of CDs up. Or what you do, just put up your iPad, you know, and just look through Spotify. It's not really the same, is it?
No, but I think people are doing that, Rob. I do think people like have their playlists, don't they? And if you go on any of those streaming services, there are automatic playlists now. So you put in like, and a couple of artists you like, and it's done for you. So I don't know if it's kind of changing towards that way.
Well, when a band is new, you know, and they bring out an album, you know, you had to get used to the band. You had to listen to track by track of the album. So if like kids now listen to an artist or a band single, are they going to listen through all the back catalogue on Spotify? I'm not so sure. I think, you know, it is quite important to be able to do that.
Andy, it is that thing, isn't it? That physical thing, having something, not just listening and it's great music, but having a picture and reading the credits and the notes. That still matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Rob makes a good point. I think a lot of the market these days, certainly for DVDs rather than CDs, is moving to Blu-ray. Again, the quality thing, the quality is, you know, it's high definition image. But it's the extras I think a lot of film fans want. You know, interviews with directors or experts talking about them, that if you stream it, you're not going to get that sort of stuff as well. So I think it's the collector will stay with that kind of physical thing, as you say. And it's also the extras, I think, that come with the physical object, that if you stream it, you're not going to have the opportunity to see those things. And I think there's also a myth about everything being available if you're streaming. There's I've got lots of DVDs that I won't be getting rid of because they're films that you can't stream. You know, some foreign films, older films, more obscure films, and I think it's the same with music. You know, there'll be things that it's not in the interest of the big companies to reissue those things, so you've got to keep hold of them. There might be one day you know think, oh, I'll watch Knights of the Teutonic Order or something like this. I've got the DVD in the back room. I'll go and get it.
Thank you both very much indeed. It's fascinating, isn't it? You start to think about you know, what you own in a totally different way. Thank you very much
Andy
indeed.
Willis, Rob Fidderman, thank you.